Good morning, 3EB. Can you believe we have only got this week to go and then it's another holiday week? I mean, having said that, this is the shortest of our half terms of the whole year. But gosh, time is flying. So that's something to look forward to, a week of work and then another week off. And I also wanted to tell you I've done something a little bit different in the way I set your assignments this week. So we're using Teams, we're all on that, that's great. And what's happened so far is that I've posted for you every Sunday, so it's ready for you to see at the beginning of the week, a timetable on whole class work, and it just shows you roughly what we're doing and it gives our aims for the week. That's still there, so you'll be able to see what we're doing this week in general, okay? But whereas before I used to put all the assignments up ready for you to see as of now, what I'm trying this week is I set all your work, but you can only see it on the day that you're meant to do it, or the day that you're meant to start it, okay? So today's work is all up, but you can't actually see the details of Tuesday's or the rest of the week's work yet, okay? So each day at 7:30 in the morning, it will come up. One of the reasons I'm doing that is just so that the school quite rightly want you to do a certain amount of work every day and not try and do all your work at the beginning. And I know most of you are pacing yourself and spreading your work out, but it just really helps us do that rather than trying to squash things into the beginning of the week, maybe. Okay, it also means that you don't have too much to do, because if there's nothing else visible, once you're done, okay, for the day. So we'll see how that goes. We might have to change it, but we'll see how that goes this week. Okay, so let's get started. Another change for this week, first time since we've been distance learning, is that we haven't got Spellbound this week. Okay, we're not going to do Spellbound because I wanted to do another week on homophones because they're so important in English spelling. So instead of Spellbound with a spelling test, for today I've set you a spelling exercise to do, which we'll have a look at now, okay? And that's just for today, and then there's no spelling test at the end of the week, okay? So you'll find on your work for today in whole class work, it gives you a worksheet that you can either print off or you can look at on the screen, and it's a little passage, it's a few sentences about someone who looks up at the night sky. Okay, and I've actually written the first sentence of it up here. And the idea is that you read it out to yourself, and what you've got to try and look out for are words that sound correct as you're reading them, but they're written wrongly. They're the homophone. That's the wrong kind of whatever it might be. So if you're not too sure what I mean, let's have a little look at the first sentence together. Okay, and the idea is we spot these homophone mistakes, underline them, and then see if we can write which homophone it should have been instead. Okay, so excuse me, what have we got here? Okay, so read that sentence to yourself, or read it out loud. I bet some of you are already noticing what those homophone mistakes are. There are two in that particular sentence. Okay, so when I read it, it sounds fine. It makes perfect sense. Last night when I looked up, the sky was dark blue. Okay, sometimes it is just as it's getting dark, it's a dark blue rather than a black. So that makes sense. But there are two words there that even though they sound right, their spelling is wrong. Because with that particular spelling they got up there, they mean something different. So what have you spotted? Yeah, straight away, loads of you have spotted knight. Okay, so that kind of knight exists, but that's a knight who wears armour, rides a horse maybe, and has a sword and a shield. We want the kind of knight that means after the day when it gets dark. We want the kind of knight without the silent K, N-I-G-H-T. Okay, so that's one of them. And the other one in this particular sentence is one from our spelling pairs last week. So I'm hoping you've spotted that really quickly. I looked up, the sky was dark blue. It's the blue, isn't it? Remember last week we had that kind of blue which actually means I blew my candles out, the past tense of blow. Whereas the sky was dark blue. We want the colour blue, don't we? We want the other one, okay? So that's an example with the first sentence done for you. So you go through the text and there are lots in there. Some of them are quite easy to spot. These two aren't too bad. Some of them are really tricky, so do your best. If you are somebody that doesn't do English as an L1, do you have another L1? This is a particularly hard exercise. So if you can't find all 18, I don't want anybody getting in a panic, because goodness knows, I will be amazed if you find half of them, okay, if you don't have English as your L1. So spot as many as you can, and then when you send your work back to me, I can see. So either you can underline them, and then either next to the mistake or maybe in the space at the bottom of the sheet, you can write the proper spellings. Or if you don't print it out, you can just write me a list of the pairs. So you might write on your piece of paper, okay, we found night. Oh, I feel that's going through the paper again. No, luckily it's not. That kind of night, but we wanted that kind of night for it to be correct in this text, okay? And we got this kind of blue, but we wanted the other homophone, blue the colour, B-L-U-E. Okay, so you can either write it out as a list like that or underline and just do corrections near it, for instance, like that, you see? Okay, so you choose how to show me that. Okay, so that's your spelling exercise for today, and I won't be testing you on those at the end of the week. Okay, one of the reasons I won't be testing you is because I've got a different test this week. On Wednesday, we're going to try and do a tables test, a 7 times table test in our meeting on Wednesday. So don't panic about that, but that's why your task for today for maths, or one of them, is to revise, to practice your 7 times table, okay? Because on Wednesday we're going to try and do a little bit of a test. I shall explain that to you at the meeting. All you'll need to have with you is a pencil and a piece of paper, okay? Have that ready for the meeting on Wednesday, because the first 5 minutes we'll do a quick tables test and see how you go, okay? In the little test, it won't be division facts, so it won't be like 77 divided by 7. It'll be straightforward 7 times table questions, 8 times 7, 6 times 7, 7 times 4, okay? But I won't be giving you them in their order. I'll be mixing them up, mixing them around. So you've got to get them quick as numbers facts. You've got to know that 7 times 8, 8 times 7 is 56. Boom, like that. Okay? I can do that when I was your age. See if you can. Okay? So in order to practice your 7s today, it might be that you want to go back and finish that hidden word puzzle from last week. Okay, I did say to you that if it took you a long time, hang on, because there'd be some time this week. So you could go back and do that. If you finish that, you could practice your 7 times table by using, I've attached a couple of worksheets to our assignment for maths today, which you can do as a means to practice your 7s if you want. Okay, good. Then the other thing for maths is to go back to your capacity, your evaporation experiment from Friday. So hopefully what you did on Friday was put out your 3 different containers, each with the same amount of water in. We said we were going to leave it over the weekend, somewhere safe, and then come back to it on Monday, today, and see what's happened. Okay, so we're expecting that some of the water will have evaporated from each container. Depending where you've left it, you might come back and find it's all evaporated. That would be interesting. Or maybe all evaporated out of one of the containers but not the other. We'll see. You'll see. Okay, I'll be really interested in what you've got to tell me. I'll be asking you about what happened when we have our meeting on Wednesday. Okay, so be ready to tell me what happened in your experiment. But today what you need to do is go back to those containers very, very carefully. Get your container. This is actually a dirty cup of tea, but let's imagine. Get your container. Okay, see if there's anything left in it. Okay, then pour it, the water that's left into your measuring jug. Okay, put your measuring jug on a flat surface and read off how many millilitres have been left in that particular container, and then write it down. Okay, on that sheet, or you might have been doing it on paper, there's a space for you to write down what's left. So you need to do that with each of the 3 containers, okay? And from that, you should be able to work out how much has evaporated. So let's imagine that on, let's say on Friday, you put 100 millilitres in each of those containers. Let's go over here. Yeah, got some space. So let's imagine they all had 100 millilitres in each, okay, on Friday. And then you get your first container. You think, oh, it's got a little bit left in there. You measure it out and you find out that you've got 30 millilitres in there today, okay? You should be able to work out how much has evaporated. And there's space on your sheet to write the answer to that down as well. So you'd need to find out the answer by doing 100 that you had. If you take away the 30 that's left, that 70 is the amount that's disappeared, isn't it? Okay, so if you want to work out how much has evaporated, you take your start number, how much you started with, okay, take away what you've got left that you've measured today, whatever it might be, it's probably not 30, okay, and whatever you've got as your answer, that's the amount that has disappeared, isn't it? Okay, that's how much has evaporated. So have a little look at that and see if you can work out how much is evaporated in millilitres. And be really interested to see what's happened. I'm very interested to see whether the amount that's evaporated is the same from each container. Do you remember you put exactly the same amount in each to start with and you put them all in the same place? The only difference is the shape of the container. So has that had any effect on the evaporation? We'll see. We'll talk about that on Wednesday. Okay. So that's that really for today. That's another quick one. My L1 English children will be chatting at 1 o'clock later today. So I shall see you then. And everybody else, another little video tomorrow. And then obviously I'll see people in our meetings on Wednesday anyway. Okay. Right. Have a lovely day. Bye.